Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Thursday and we're working on the corn planter again. So this week I've just been trying to work on this thing and get it ready. So like yesterday I was having some trouble with the liquid, so I went through and checked. My check valves had a bunch of dirt in them, and I think that's what was causing a lot of my blockage problems. So I worked on that a good bit, and then today I put these little drop tubes on here. So these are actually a 1/4-inch line shoved up inside of here, and I'm hoping that, well, actually I already tried it a little bit, but on a couple rows, but this narrows the flow down a little bit, so it puts out a little bit more pressure and then creates some back pressure here, because our orifice is right here, so it just has a little bitty small hole in it. That's what creates the back pressure up there on the top, but this is just gravity feed down here through this Y and down to here. So if I can get a little bit more back pressure here, I can get a little bit more even flow out of these drops here on the back. So I put those on. Hopefully that'll work pretty good across the planter. It'll also bring the fertilizer down a little bit farther, hopefully bringing it down into the cover crop a little bit more. I have noticed that in the cover crop, it kind of just sprinkles it all over the cover crop and it doesn't really get straight to the ground. So I'm hoping that'll direct it a little bit more to the ground, and then that'll help it soak into the soil, and hopefully that'll work out pretty good. That's what I've been working on today. Just trying to get the stuff ready so that way we're not trying to jack around in the field whenever it's time to go. The AMS guy is coming tomorrow in the morning. I've got a little bit of trouble with my implement guidance. It's not really anything to do with the implement guidance. It's just because I had to plug in the John Deere side of the planter again this year to run that globe up on there. So my monitor is not mapping on the John Deere side of it, so it's not really necessary for it to map, but it is nice that whenever I can see where my coverage is and not just a line, because I use my John Deere system is steering the tractor, and then the precision system is doing the section control and controlling all of the planter functions. So it's not really super important that the John Deere side of it works, other than the steering, but it is nice. So like whenever I'm turning around on the end, I can kind of see where my coverage is at, roughly, and then that helps me to get turned around and get back kind of on the line better. So just some little stuff like that trying to work out, but other than that, this thing should be pretty close to being ready. I said I cleaned out those check valves, but I only got half of the planter done, which this left side was the worst. It was getting the least amount of flow to it, but I'm gonna go ahead and clean out the other side here in a minute. I just used some water and undid them, and I'll show you here in a minute whenever I do it. But there's dust over time that gets packed up in there, and then I'll show you how the check valve works, but it doesn't let it spring all the way back and doesn't let it get full flow. So I was having a little bit of trouble with one of the V-applies yesterday. It seems like I'm not getting the right pressure coming out of it, but I'm gonna hook up some water here again and see what happens with it today. Sometimes you can let this stuff sit overnight and it just fixes itself. Not that it's really off by that much. I mean, I'm trying to put out like 16 something gallons of water, and I'm only getting 15 out of that, those 2 rows. So it's not like it's off by that much. But anyways, I wanted to make sure they're all pretty close before we get to the field. And we actually have some fertilizer running through it. So I'm gonna get this thing folded up, get over there to the water tanks and get hooked up. Okay, I'm hooked up to the water tank here, so we're running water. I've actually got maxed out everything it'll do right now. So I was having trouble with this V-apply for these 2 rows here, and as you can see, it's not putting anything out. That V-apply was actually originally from rows 11 and 12. So I switched it to see if the problem would follow the V-apply, and it did. So these rows are not putting anything out. This thing, we got to rebuild this. If you can hear, the valve is opening and closing, so it's not working. So anyways, these little tubes I put in here are working great, because every one of them has something coming out of them. It's creating enough back pressure to to make it come out of both tubes. So before it would like spit out of one tube and then all of it would come out of one. And so now we've got it all evenly applied here. So the only thing I'll have to watch is to make sure they're not dripping on top of the seed trench. We gotta make sure we're actually doing a 2x2. So we want it 2 inches away from the seed trench on each side. And so should work pretty good, I think. Everything's coming out. I just went through and cleaned out all these check valves. So this is our check valve right here. There's a little rubber piece in there. I forget what you call that. But that there's a little spring mechanism, and once it gets enough pressure, it pushes that out and lets flow come through here. And then whenever it doesn't have much pressure, it closes back down so we're not dripping fertilizer out of here with low pressure. And these aren't quite as important anymore. They were on the old system, but on this new system, I've got these V-applies, which have their valve in them. So I have one of these for every 2 rows on the planter. So we have 12 of these. So those shut off right here, and then you just have minimal tubing down to the row. But either way, it's good to have a check valve. Make sure that you're not leaking everywhere. So everything seems to be working pretty good, other than that one over there, which I'm going to get parts for that tomorrow, and I'll rebuild that. And then hopefully that'll get that one going. Everything is within like a gallon. So there's a couple rows that are a gallon high, a couple rows that are gallon low. This is per acre. So you really can't complain about that. As long as we're getting the right rate on across the entire planter, I don't really mind. I've done everything I can to try to clear the lines out and see what's causing them to be off, but I just can't seem to find anything wrong. So I'm gonna make sure, let this thing run for a little bit, make sure it's gonna keep running, and call it a night probably. Just got the planter put away. I know the lights are bright, you can't really see. I just brought it up here to the barn where it's been at. On another note, we've got our round baler inspected, and it came back with well, it was kind of what we were expecting. This round baler has about 10,000 bales on it, and usually we like to trade at 10,000. But John Deere has kind of temporarily discontinued the accumulator system, so we didn't end up ordering a new one because we weren't sure about that. So instead of we were just planning on running this one this year. And then our inspection came back showing a lot of stuff needing done. So we got a lot of work to do this one. So we got to put a lot of work into this one. But we've got a different solution coming. So after we got the inspection back on this one, we decided to see what we could find for used or slightly used balers, and we ended up finding a new one that had a pre-cutter on it, but it's a 2022 model. It's just been sitting on the lot, so we decided to go ahead and buy it. So they didn't want to give us much for this one with the condition it was in, so we're getting this one fixed. Hudson's are up here. They've been fixing on it for a couple of days here. We're going to get this one fixed, and then we're also going to get the new one with the pre-cutter on it. And then we're going to run them both this year, and we're going to see how we like the pre-cutter. And if we decide that we want to go with the pre-cutter, we can take our accumulator off of this one and put it onto that one, because it is not a brand new baler. So it is, we can use the accumulator on it. I'll show you a little bit more on that pre-cutter whenever we get it here. You'll be seeing it a lot. I'll be trying to show it and really see what it can do for us. Basically, it's just a set of knives and a chopper on the front of here before it gets into the baler. Chops and sizes the hay before it goes in. So that's gonna be pretty exciting to see what that does for us. Hopefully we like it, and we can get this accumulator off of here, put it on that other baler, and then this baler will be for sale. So it's really not, I mean, we're fixing everything that's wrong with it, to get it going. But it's at the point where it's going to have some little stuff here and there. every year. I mean, there wasn't anything super major wrong on this one. The belts needed a little bit of work, but we're going to get it running. And so if anybody would be interested in this, maybe later this year, you might let me know. But we got to see how we like the other one first. Okay, it's Saturday. Yesterday, I worked on this thing, and I don't know, I got into a lot of other stuff, but I don't really quite remember, actually. So, I'm testing this out again this morning. I had a couple of different orifices I wanted to put in on a couple rows, see if I could even out the flow a little bit, and it actually seemed to work. So, you can't really see the water coming out, but there's water coming out of all of them. And these little tubes actually are working pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with how that's working. I was just going through and making sure none of them were pointed directly on the row, because there was a little bit of curvature in the hose, the way it was wrapped up, and so I didn't want that to twist it and get it into the seed trench. But everything looks to be okay, so I'm just gonna let some water run through there for a little bit, and then we'll pull this spray trailer out of the way. I got some more front weights sitting in the shed to put on this tractor, because it could use a little bit more weight in the front end whenever this thing's on the road. So actually, I know what I did yesterday. We set up our new silage bagger. So we got that all together. We got the bag on it, so it's kind of ready to go whenever we're ready to start chopping, which looks like tomorrow on Sunday it's going to be clear, and then Monday is supposed to be clear until that night. So we thought maybe on Monday we'd be able to get out there and chop a little bit of wheat silage, but it doesn't look like we would get a whole lot done since it's going to rain on Monday night, which maybe we can miss that and get a little bit more in. There's a piece of wire. But anyways, that's kind of the plan right now. So today we're gonna go get the chopper out of the shed, bring it back here to the farm, and make sure everything's ready to go on that. And Cody's working on the tractor that's going on the merger, getting that ready to go. So just trying to get everything ready to go here for when it dries out, which looks like next week is gonna be another rained out week, because they're calling for a chance of rain every day after Monday. So we'll see how that goes. We got some weights on the front of here. So there were originally 8 on here that came from the factory, and we added 4 on that side and 3 on that side. We had 2 extra weights laying around the farm somewhere, and I think we used one of them to like weigh down something or hold something down, and we have lost it. So we had taken 6 weights off of the 7930 because we didn't need them on there, and so they were sitting over there. So we put the 6 on here, and then I put the other one on there. So if I find that other extra weight, I'll put it on there. But I think I'm gonna spray this off here. We're gonna get lunch real quick, and then we'll spray this off here, and then we'll take this back up to the shed, and I think we're gonna get the chopper when we go to lunch. Okay, I got my tractor cleaned up. It's looking much better. It needs a wax job. Need to put that on the list for next winter, but looks pretty decent. While I got the wheels turned, I was gonna go ahead and grease the front end. I've already greased the 3-point, planter's greased, so we're ready to start. It looks like we could maybe plant tomorrow on some dry ground. If not, definitely Monday. So I'm gonna make sure we get this ready and be good to go. I've been messing around here at the farm tonight. I got my tanks glowing on the corn planter, so ended up being dark by the time I got done, so I got to test it out, but it looks pretty good. And I can actually see the level of the seed in there now. You can see exactly where it's at in there. So they're just timed out, but yep. I just took I'll show you sometime whenever I'm up there, but I just took 2 LED lights, drilled a hole through the pole up there, and just shine them right into the tanks, and it illuminates them. So I'm gonna head home for the day, and looks like tomorrow's Sunday. It's looking like tomorrow afternoon we might be able to hit the field here at the farm and maybe get on some of the hills and stuff. I know some of the bottom ground may not be fit, but the wind was blowing today, sun was out, so it's looking like it's gonna be pretty close tomorrow. So we'll run out there tomorrow afternoon and see what it looks like. It's Sunday and we are finally out here planting corn. I've been going for a while, had to get everything going. We're running pretty smooth now. We got about 45 acres done here behind the farm. There's the farm right there. And we seem to be working pretty good. So fertilizer's going on, seeds going in the ground. It's a little bit wet in the low spots, but like right now I'm up here on top of a hill. I don't know if you can tell, there's a waterway down there at the bottom. But it's about perfect conditions up here on the top. When we get down to the bottom, it's a little bit heavy, but it's May 12th right now, and this is the first corn we're putting in, so we've got to get started, got to get going, so we can get everything done in a timely manner. So, you know, as the season goes on with the calendar dates, the line of, you know, wet and dry kind of leans more towards the wet side, so we can get going. We got to get in here and get everything planted before June. So it's not doing a bad job though. We've got the Yetter Twister closing wheels back there. They're taking out all that sidewall compaction and allowing us to plant in this borderline ground here. So everything's doing a pretty good job here. Fertilizer's going on right at 14.5 gallon, which is exactly where we want it at. Seeds going on a little bit heavy. We're putting on 34,200 right now. I'd like to be right at 34, but we're on prescription map, so I'm down here in the bottom area. It just seems like it's a little bit just a little bit high. It seems like it's about 200 high on whatever I'm doing, so I've been working on that a little bit, trying to fine tune the vacuum and everything like that. So overall, everything's working pretty good. I'll show you here in a second. Just washed the tractor yesterday and my windows are already dirty. But I guess that's just the way it goes. Thank you for watching this week's video. It's actually Monday morning now. Got done planting last night about 1:30 or so. And I got everything I could planted up here at the farm, but that bottom area, it's just really wet. So there's about 30 acres of that I'm not gonna be able to get planted, but I'm gonna head over to another field and try to get some more acres knocked out today. So getting seed loaded up here this morning, but that'll all be in next week's video. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment down below, and we'll see you next week.